I was an indie musician at 16. So most of my time before college was making indie music. Then I majored in finance to at least make sure I'd have a stable income. I was forced to take a Python class. I was so determined to get the top grade that to get over that aggressive learning curve, I'd go to the 9 a.m., the 10 a.m., and the 11 a.m. lecture just to be able to understand everything. But it paid off. Got the top grade, then switched my major over to computer engineering. I started to get really obsessed with building projects and got into my first hackathon because I discovered I love the environment. I secretly rented a car without telling my parents, drove to Ohio. I had emailed the organizers for the hackathon for a travel stipend. I was able to rent a car using the stipend, show up at the hackathon, build a hardware project solo, and win first place. After winning 16 hackathons, I started to go to even larger hackathons, UPenn's, Princeton's, blockchain hackathons, NPU project for Intel, drone research for NASA USRC. That's when I landed the internships at Intuit and Disney for software engineering. I showed up to a Luma event in SF, and there's like this hot pot. The people in SF saw the hustle where I was like grabbing all the hot pot food, and they're like, "What is your background? Why are you here? Are you looking for a job?" And I was, "No, I'm building a project." I posted a video of me pitching at the hot pot, which blew up to 500K views on Instagram and on Twitter, and landed a ton of angel investment from there, like 40K. I think I was also reflecting more, and I realized the happiest moments I've had were facing a problem and then solving it in a creative way. I think I had always wanted to see if I could make something and a lot of people would use it.
Hi, Jia. Thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. So to begin our conversation, I'd like to ask every guest on a scale of 0 to 10, how much do you regret? Well, usually how much do you regret leaving the 9 to 5? But in your case, I guess taking a leave of absence from university, dropping your internships at big tech companies and to build your own company. How much do you regret making that decision? 0 being this is the best decision of your life, and 10 is the biggest regret.
Ooh, I would honestly say, I'd say like a 3, where there's like still a bit of regret there because I think I had started a product initially when I had dropped those internships, and then I had like a span of time after a co-founder breakup where I think I could have explored more serendipity there at the big tech, um, especially Disney, to just see how an enterprise works and potentially like build a company knowing that enterprise experience. Um, but still, I think just like staying in it of itself in an environment, even if it's a hard environment, um, can lead to new insights. And so just being in like staying in SF, not going to Glendale for the internship, I think unlocked a lot of new ideas, new connections. And yeah, that's why I'm still glad that I dropped those software engineering internships. I was able to learn a lot more about software engineering on my own as well.
Yeah, thank you. That's very interesting. So you're probably the youngest guest we've had on the podcast at only 21 years old. You've accomplished so much. Would you mind just giving us like a brief overview of your journey so far from, university to where you are today?
Yeah, of course. So I was an indie musician before at 16. And so most of like my time before/during college was making indie music. So I had like 200K streams. Um, and then in college, I majored in finance, to at least make sure I'd have a stable income,
Yeah.
and Asian parents. But during taking finance, I was forced to take a Python class. So that Python class, I was so determined to get the top grade that I went to every single lecture. And this was before the days of ChatGPT and stuff. So I really had to get over that aggressive learning curve. So I'd go to the 9 a.m. lecture, the 10 a.m. lecture, and the 11 a.m. lecture, um, just to be able to understand everything. But it paid off. Got the top grade as well as tutored a bunch of my other friends in the class, and then switched my major over to computer engineering. From then on, I started to get really obsessed with building projects. So virtually every day of the week, I'd be building a project. And I got into my first hackathon, uh, just like hearing about it at my university. And that was the first time I was able to work in a group And that's where I started to understand that I enjoyed like very scrappily building products end to end. And I lost that first hackathon, but then because I discovered I love the environment, I secretly rented a car without telling my parents, drove to Ohio. I had emailed the organizers for the hackathon for a travel stipend, so they gave me one. So I was able to rent a car using the stipend, show up at the hackathon, um, build a hardware project solo, and then win first place. And after that win, I used the money from the win to then travel to the next hackathon secretly. Um, and I think after winning about, yeah, like 16 hackathons, that was when I started to go to like even larger hackathons like UPenn's, Princeton's, um, some blockchain hackathons too. Sort of dabbled around some like larger projects like NPU project for Intel and um, drone research for NASA USRC. And then eventually going up to like 7 months ago, that's when I landed the internships at Intuit and Disney for software engineering. And and then stopped doing hackathons after winning 21 to start my first product, um, which went from which I said started in my dorm room and then posted one video about it and it blew up. So um, because of that traction, came to SF for a ski trip, told people in SF what I was building, actually specifically at this hot pot. I showed up to a Luma event in SF and there's like this hot pot. And because I didn't have as much money back then, just like maybe 2K in income from the project, um, I was very hungry. And so like I'm pretty sure just the people in SF saw the hustle, like where I was like grabbing all the hot pot food, and they're like, what is your background? Like, why are you here? Are you looking for a job? And I was like, no, I mean, I'm building a project. And then that's when, like, out of nowhere, they just suggested angel investing. And so I landed like 8K in angel investment in that hot pot. I posted a video of me pitching at the hot pot, which blew up to 500K views on Instagram and 500K views on Twitter, and then landed like a ton of angel investment from there, like 40K. Um, and then after that, showed up to another Luma event at my birthday, landed a VC check, and then raised like 6 figures from there. Then the product itself made 48K in 5 months with a 25K enterprise contract monthly. So then now, leading up to now, had a bunch of different pivots where I was building different projects after the co-founder breakup. And now I've recently landed on a new project. Yeah, excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, that's an incredible journey. So you are simultaneously a founder, a content creator. I love your content, by the way, on Instagram, and you also have 40K on LinkedIn as well. How do you balance these completely different creative outlets? Do they complement each other? Or what's your strategy behind like being so many things at once?
Actually, before I had mostly been honed in on one thing at a time. Um, but there's this really impactful book that I read. It was Leonardo da Vinci by Walter Isaacson. Um, and it talked about how curiosity is the root and you should follow your curiosity. And that opened a lot of a lot of new thoughts to where I knew I could be many things at the same time. And I think being being multidisciplinary is actually beneficial. I think um, when you succeed in one area, then like embracing that also like bleeds over to other areas. So like succeeding well in a hackathon is you just like spend 1 second of your day posting a picture of it on LinkedIn or Instagram, and like you get a much bigger effect. Um, and then that sort of in turn flows back to being a founder, where now you have more of a reach and more opportunities come at you, where people know what you're doing. Um, I think while these things like might seem different, it somehow feels coherent to me.
Yeah, just like how just before we started recording, you got the invite from the CEO or the
CTO.
CTO of Lovable and fly to a different country for like that's couldn't have happened if you didn't start showing up online consistently. So I want to go back a little bit to your journey where you did mention you have Asian parents. There's like certain expectations in Asian household, and you sounds like you started out, going to school with finance. It's like the um, the path that would make your parents proud for at per se. And then moving from there to doing your own hackathons, doing it kind of behind your parents' back. How how did that feel? Like you won 22 hackathons by age 2021. What was it like constantly proving yourself in these competitive environments?
So me and my like other hackathon friends definitely share like this inside joke where we all know that we're like somewhat addicted to hackathons, where we just can't help but go to another one. I think there's like this inherent need to build that gets me excited. I think previously I had introspected and thought that the reason why I went to hackathons was to win, but I think there's excitement in seeing a system being given a prompt, and seeing what you can build. Um, I think I was also reflecting more, and I realized like the happiest moments I've had were really facing a problem and then solving it in a creative way.
Mhm. Yeah. So when you decided you want to take a leave of absence from school to build full time, and when you decided to turn down those internship offers from Disney, sorry, you did turn down from
Yeah, in Disney and
Disney,
Intuit.
yes, Disney and Intuit. Um, was there like a series of events that led you to make that decision, or was it like a moment that you just knew?
I think it was still a calculated risk because there was like funding raised, and there's also, but more importantly, there's money being made from the product and other job offers from startups. I think I think it was, yeah, the money being made from the product and also job offers from startups that sort of led me to realize that, yeah, maybe there is something there in a different kind of future than there would be for 9 to 5.
And then your very first venture after that, you founded Sprint.dev, which you said on a random Thursday night in uni and reached 20,000 users and 48,000 profit in 5 months. How did you know? Like, how did you know that that was the right idea to work on at the time? And um, yeah, how did you know that was the right time to work on the idea, to fully commit versus having it as a side project?
Yeah, so I think when it started blowing up on social media is when I knew that it was the right time. Um, I think it started blowing up on LinkedIn, just getting like hundreds of thousands of impressions, and yeah, I had a feeling that it was good to take it further.
What did you post about on LinkedIn? Like, what did you post on LinkedIn?
Oh, I showed the demo video of the project. Initially, it was just helping people plan out their hackathon ideas and come up with and structure their hackathon ideas, and then like eventually the hackathon hosting functionality. Um, and I think people like seeing live demos or recorded demos.
I want to understand more about like where your entrepreneurial spirit came from. Did you have like influence of your parents growing up were entrepreneurs, or maybe seeing figures on online on TV? What made you like choose this path?
Um, so both of my parents work 9 to 5s. Um, but my mom's side of the family is full of entrepreneurs. Like they're immigrants from Vietnam, and like everyone has started something. Like my grandma with like a dumpling store, my uncle with like a bar, my aunt with a nail salon. Like I think there's a lot of that entrepreneurial spirit there. My aunt with a real estate business. I think I think seeing that inspired me. Um, I'm trying to think back too because I think, yeah, since I was young, I've always tried to start a bunch of side hustles, like a cookie business when I was 5, and
Oh, wow.
maybe not 5. I think a cookie business when I was like 9.
That's still very impressive.
And then the jewelry business when I was 17. Yeah, I don't know. I think I had always wanted to see if I could make something and a lot of people would use it.
Yeah. How did your parents feel about that?
Well, I think it wasn't necessarily the company that convinced them. It was getting job offers. Like they wanted to know that I would at least be secure with getting job offers out of college or out of not going to college. Like there are a few like 6-figure job offers from startups, under big tech, biggish tech, um, that well, like my dad's logic was you go to school to get a degree, then the degree helps you get a job. But if you're able to land jobs now, then you might be okay. So I think it was the jobs that convinced them, but not necessarily the entrepreneurial stuff.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, you can always go back to working as a probably software engineer for big tech companies. Tell us about what you're building now.
So I'm building something in the coding agent space, and it's still up in the air, but it recently just won the YC Hackathon as a finalist. So yeah.
If you could go back and talk to yourself at 17, for example, running a jewelry business, what advice would you give the 17-year-old Gia?
I think I would, at least for like such a like tangible object product, I would outsource faster. Like I would start hiring faster. I think not for software in the age of AI, maybe not. You can stay tight, but for jewelry, yeah, I would outsource faster, scale up further, and then market harder. So I, from like what I know now about Reels and the algorithm and Instagram and stuff, I would approach it. I'd approach it differently. I'd be posting way more Reels. I would be getting a bigger team like as fast with like there still being demand. Because I think there was more demand than I could meet, and I would just like spend a lot of time myself continuing to make the necklaces. Um, but when there's demands, I think it's good to outsource.
And for someone listening who maybe also have multiple interests and they're trying to find their path, I guess, what would you tell them about, embracing this non-linear career journey?
I would say, yeah, really ask yourself what you like doing. I think as a creative too, like when you're not doing something creative, it will start to feel painful, even if it's on like a different medium, like whether it's like technology or art. Make sure you still incorporate a little bit of that, no matter what your focus is. Like it's okay, and it won't. And sometimes it'll even like pay off even better and like bring you new ideas for your actual focus.
Yeah. And just to wrap things up, I know you're amazing at starting your entrepreneur journeys and building a personal brand online. So for someone who is just starting to think about building their own company, but who don't necessarily have the influence in their life or don't know how to get started, what would you tell them to do in the initial first 1 to 3 months?
I had just posted a Twitter thread about this that went viral. Um, in order to build a personal brand, like first of all, for practical advice on on any platform, when you're going from 0 to 100 followers, I would find 10 people in your niche that are that have around the same following as you, as in like either 0 to 100, but they're actively trying, slash 200, 300, and try and be a reply guy to those people, like whether it's Instagram or LinkedIn or X. There are some people there's like a lot of people who are usually always active on that platform that are trying to be creators or build their personal brand. Yeah, make sure you engage with their content. They'll engage with yours as soon as you post. And so you'll kind of get out of like the 0 likes jail, or the 0 1 likes jail. You always get 10 likes and have engagement on your content that will boost you forward. The second part is stay consistent on all of these platforms or whatever platform that you're on. always show that you exist daily. Like if it's on Instagram, you're trying to grow on Instagram, 1 reel a day. If it's on LinkedIn, 1 post a day. If it's on X, yeah, 1 post a day. If you do that and you do the reply guy method, inevitably you will grow out of it. So that's like extremely practical advice. Another point to that is that it helps to do things in real time or showcase your journey in real time. So whenever you meet a person, you go a place or you do a thing or a project, it helps to just make that the content that you post daily. You usually won't run out of stuff. Even if your life is like extremely boring, you'll still like come across one person every day, I think. Or even if you're completely inside, you'll still come across something on the internet that will be interesting or just notable at least. So yeah, there's like, I think, in my opinion, always infinite pieces of content to put out.
For your content, I'm actually curious, do you try to niche down to like one specific area of your life, or do you show up as yourself, like as a brand? I don't know if I'm asking that question clearly, as in, do you have a niche that you try to stick to?
I think I have like a slight technology niche because I'm not like posting that much music content. But I've also seen that people who just have personality just like don't even need to have a niche.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm more methodical about the way I build my personal brand versus some people just have a good personality. So like, yeah.
Yeah. No, your storytelling is really good.
Oh, thanks.
Did you feel like you got inspiration from somewhere else, or was it just really the creative side of you?
Yeah, I think it's the creative side of me. I like planning out my reels or the way I'm going to tell them.
Yeah, just one last question. The advice you would give to someone who maybe is one step behind you trying to start their business as well, but don't have that influence in their life. What can they do right away?
Okay, yeah, right away, practical advice. Yeah, is talk to 100 people. Write down all your observations on one document. Write the goals that you want to execute with a given, like with a date on them, step by step. And if people here don't know what that looks like, I will just give a framework. So step 1 is make sure you have outreach / talk to 100 people, like, and you have written down those 100 people. Step number 2 is launch the product within 2 weeks to a month, or basic product, even if it's not the complete product, the idea or inklings of what the idea might look like, and do it to the public, or if not to the public, to the 100 people that you have already listed down with all their contact information. And then number 3 is once people start using this product, just build out what they want, or the top 3 things that they want. Yeah, the first part probably takes 2 weeks. Second part probably takes 2 to 4 weeks. Third part probably takes another 4 weeks. And then I think scaling is the next part, but I'm not completely sure about that. But those are at least direct things to do, actionable.
Yeah, that's very insightful. Thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for sharing all
Yeah,
your
of
wisdom.
course. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm honored that you had me here.
Yeah, of course.